traditional medicine. When I talk about traditional medicine, I'm talking about hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, anybody in medicine, anybody who makes their money in medicine, who gets reimbursed from insurance companies. They don't make money off of two types of people,
Okay.
healthy people and dead people. They make money off of chronically sick people. It's like a built-in incentive structure, but it would be nice if you had a healthcare system where doctors were incentivized to keep you healthy. They don't have a platform for telling people about all these health hacks that keep people healthy. And I thought it would be fascinating to tell everybody about that and really spotlight the people that are making this happen, staying vital, staying healthy, staying sexy, staying young is what living life is all about. And if you have doctors that have proven treatments that keep people young and healthy so they don't get sick, you want people to know about these treatments and that they exist.
This show comes out every Tuesday. Always looking for the latest, greatest health hacks. We've already covered an enormous amount of information. This is a really exciting show. And so what we ask you to do, if you're listening to this on just the audio, subscribe to it at iTunes. Just hit that subscribe button.
We're here with Health Hacks with Mark L. White. And I'm so happy to have my good friend, Susan Bratton, with me. Susan's out in, you're in Northern California, right?
Right now I am. I'm a Cali girl, Mark.
Yeah, you're in Northern California, Southern California, all over California. And I love your story and your husband, Tim's story. I think it's an amazing story. But I'm not going to be the one telling your story. I want you to share with our audience your story and Tim's story, because I think it's amazing what you guys have done.
Well, we started a company about 15 years ago together, teaching passionate lovemaking techniques and bedroom communication skills, because we had really, after a decade of being married, had really lost our way with our intimacy. And we wanted to learn how to be better in bed together, because we knew that we were friends, but we also needed to stay lovers to keep our marriage, at its full potential. Mm-hmm. And we did a lot of workshops and learned a lot of things and said, well, we want to bring these to everyone everywhere in the world, because not everybody lives in Northern California where you can actually attend sex workshops and learn sex techniques. And we started a company, and here we are 15 years later with 20 different online programs that teach people how to have heart-connected, passionate lovemaking that gets better and better through the years together.
But before that, you were working just a boring job in Silicon Valley.
I wouldn't say they were boring, since we were some of the people that actually started the internet. My company developed the cable modem, and my husband's the inventor of Rhapsody, the first broadband online music service. So we were early inventors of amazing technologies, but life is not worth living, no matter how good your job is, if when you come home, you don't have an intimate, romantic connection with your partner. And that's when we said, we don't want to be a Silicon Valley VC startup people. Mm-hmm. We want to help couples have the connection that they deserve. And that's where we started a company together.
And then, so 15 years ago, you learned these techniques, and then you guys have built upon these techniques. How did that play out? That's early on in the internet's evolution.
Well, it's gone really, really well. We have almost 500,000 people who read our newsletters, our sex tips newsletters, and we have 20 online programs that people purchase. And we have every single day, I get an email from someone that says, "Thank you so much. You saved my sex life. You saved my marriage. You saved my relationship. You gave me tools and skills that I've never seen anywhere before." So it's been very rewarding. But one of the things that happened was I realized that having techniques and bedroom communication skills is not enough if you're having sexual health issues. And that's how you and I met. When I found out about Gainswave and found out about what an incredible protocol or treatment it is for reversing men's erectile dysfunction, for increasing blood carrying capacity to the penis, for fixing Peyronie's, for helping men who've had prostate surgery to recover from it with nerve damage and tissue damage. I mean, ever since I met you and found out about GainsWave, you've really honestly made my life better because I have a solution for the men who've been suffering with withdrawing from intimacy because they felt they couldn't perform. And then that also spurred me through I'm 58 now, and a few years ago,
You don't look 58
I
at
do what
all.
I can do, Mark.
You look so much younger. But anyway, that's the great sex, huh?
Partly, and also the care that I give myself and my husband, which I want to come to that because I've got some great health hacks for you. I also was struggling with my own painful sex. Women have painful sex. Men have premature ejaculation and erectile dysfunction. That's kind of the two big buckets. And so I was having my own painful sex issues, and I did a lot of vaginal restoration techniques. So that I resurfaced the vaginal mucosa, thickened up the skin with the collagen in there, got rid of the painful sex, got some O shots or orgasm shots. I had very good, and of course, a Femi wave, which all of those things kind of bolstered that tissue. You know, we are, as we age, atrophying. We're collapsing. We're losing our turgidity, our tumescence, our engorgement, our blood flow. And so these techniques and treatments are things that I wish I could just stand from the rooftops and just shout how great these sexual regenerative therapies are for people, because most people don't even know that they exist, or they think, oh, what is it going to be? Surgery? Like, there's just so much lack of information out there that I love telling people about the power of sexual regenerative therapies.
So like the O shot, tell our viewers a little bit about the O shot. I know you've had the O shot, but would you say that's one of the biggest health hacks right now?
No, I think GainsWave's much bigger, and for men, and I think Femi waves and RF devices like Vaviv are much bigger for women. I think that the PRP, the platelet-rich plasma injections from your own blood back into your genital structure, which is made of spongy tissue that loves to absorb all the healing factors that come from your own blood. I think those are kind of like the frosting on the cake, but they're not the cake. To me, GainsWave and things like Vaviv and FemiLift and Mona Lisa, those are the cake. That's where you start. And a lot of people will go get a P shot or get an O shot, and they'll say, well, it didn't reverse my erectile dysfunction, or it didn't, fix my incontinence. And I'm like, well, it can only do so much, and you probably need a series of them. You wait all these years until you're in middle age, and then you realize, oh, I've lost my function. And then it takes a little work to get it back. But the good news is you can get it back. So I like a combination for men of a series of GainsWave treatments, and usually they come in packages of 6. And then I have a promo code.
I'm sure you do.
It's promo code BETTER, BETTER, when you go to the GainsWave site, and you get a 7th one for free. I'm always giving everybody my promo code. And I like the GainsWave with a P shot, and then using a vacuum erection device or a penis pump every day during the treatment, and then every other day afterward to help increase that penile volume and blood carrying capacity, help support the stimulation of new tissue growth that the GainsWave's getting. And for women, I really like the intravaginal, like subcutaneous stimulation of new tissue and collagen growth with the O shot for the G-spot, clitoral structure, etc. And I had 3 O shots in a row about 6 months apart before I really felt like that tissue was filled up with the growth factors that I needed at 55 years old when I first started doing it. And it's the kind of thing where it's maintenance. You go back every year or 2 or 3 years and have another treatment or a round of treatments. It's not like you can't fix aging. It's happening. But what you can do is stave off aging, and you can and you can reverse it, but you have to stay with it. And for me, my sex life is a very important part of my life. I haven't seen a movie in years. If I had a time to go see a movie, I'd just stay home and make love. That's what I would prefer to do, because time is my biggest issue. So I really love the O shots and P shots, but I don't think that they're not what I recommend someone start with. I recommend someone start with the Gains Waves and the RF devices and the Femi lifts and things like that.
Well, one thing that you and Tim have done a great job of is getting people to have that discussion, talking about sex, talking about these things. And I think you see that a lot, men and women in their 40s and 50s, and they know that sex isn't what it used to be. But are we having that discussion? Like, are people having that discussion, or what's?
No, and this is really interesting. So one of the things that I just completed was a very large online event with over 65,000 people attended an event I did called the Sexual Vitality Summit. And I had a number of things I gave people as a part of registering for the summit. And one of them was a book called Hot to Trot, 38 Fascinating Facts to Supercharge Your Sex Drive. And it was essentially 38 of the most interesting things that I learned from interviewing these 28 experts on my own summit, like my dream team of experts, and asking them everything I wanted to ask them about sexual vitality, libido, desire, arousal, sexual wellness, etc., from hormones to sexual regenerative therapies and beyond. And one of the other things that I gave people was something called the magic pill method. Because before I did the summit, I sent an email out to my close to 500,000 fans and followers. And I said, tell me the number one thing that's holding you back from having the sex that you crave. That is not, I don't have a partner. This is not about getting a partner. This is about physical and emotional health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wrote back to me with, a long laundry list of things, heart disease, cancer, bad joints, falls, accidents, diabetes, all of these types of things, lots of unique little, lupus and other inflammation diseases and things, and all these problems, with the two big buckets being, it hurts to have sex for her, I have ED for him, but then tons of other things. And I thought, well, 400 or 500 people replied to me. How am I going to answer them all? I literally don't have enough time in the day to answer everybody individually. And I went to bed that night, and I'm one of those lucid dreamer type of people. And I said, okay, brain, when I wake up, please have an answer for me as to how I'm going to help every single person. How can I help them help themselves? What do they need to have and know? And I slept on it for 2 nights. And when I woke up, I said, they need a communication technique. They need a structured way to have a conversation about what it used to be like for sex when they loved having sex with their partner, what it's like now, and then what's off the table and what's on the table that they can still do. Because what I notice is when people have sexual health issues, they don't talk about it, and then they stop having sex, and then they stop talking, and they stop touching, and they stop intimacy, like just because they can't have intercourse, for example, everything goes away and they don't even touch each other anymore. And so I wanted them to be really thinking about, okay, well, what's on the okay list? What could we still do? Could we still hold each other? Could we give each other sensual massages? What is on the table? And I gave them this whole structure for sitting down and having the conversation, and then finding the things they could do to fix the problems they have, like going to get Gains Wave treatments or what have you. And so they could work together to fix what they could do and work around, compromise, and develop a new list of what was on the table. And it was the thing that people wanted the least from me. People don't want to talk about their sex life. They're like, a sexual communication technique? You mean I'd have to talk about my sex life with my partner? No, thanks. And I thought, oh man, that's a shame. That was the magic pill that I could give them to fix their problem, was just talk to your partner, figure out the solutions. Here's a structure for doing it in a way that won't make you embarrassed. And still, People wanted hormone information because people think, oh, if my libido is low and I just fix my hormones, I'll be horny again. That's not true either, of course.
But if you're horny and your partner's not into it, or it hurts your partner, you're not going to have the best sex. You're going to probably masturbate a lot, but not the best sex.
Exactly.
But how do you bring that up with your partner? Like, if you're not happy, like, when you say this magic pill method, just give our listeners like how they would go about doing that.
Well, the first thing is that you say, let's sit down and talk about our sex life because I want to be closer to you and I want to work around the problems that we're having. So let's get on the same page about it and see what we can do. How about next Thursday night after dinner? So you give some time ahead.
Like date night.
Yeah. So you're not just like blindsiding them. Nobody likes to be ambushed. And a lot of times for the person who wants to talk about it, they have a lot of pent up emotion about it. And they've got like some drama inside them that can come out. And so planning it in advance gives you time to kind of like let your upset not be present in the conversation. Second thing is make sure that you're fed, you're not hungry. So you've got good blood sugar and you've got plenty of water. So you're hydrated. You need to be on your best game so that you have all the resources available to have this conversation, which is going to be edgy and triggering for probably both of you. And then, because people have a lot of shame around their inability to, like, when a woman has painful sex, she feels like she's letting her husband down or her partner down. She feels like it's her fault. Her body's betraying her. She feels literally sexually disabled. And with that comes not just upset, but shame. So there's a flood of emotions that can happen. The second thing is to sit down on the couch or sofa and face each other and hold each other's hands so that you're connected. And then you just start talking, you take turns and you start talking about, here's what I loved about what our sex life was like in the past. So you're celebrating the things that you had great experiences with. And what's interesting is that each one of the partners is going to have had different things that they enjoyed most about their sex life. And then you talk about the things that you're really missing the most. What is it that you're missing the most? And often it's not the thing that you think you should be doing. It's random stuff. I remember how we used to lie in bed afterward and laugh. Like, that is one of the things people miss the most, about, I just loved being in your arms at the end of a lovemaking date, or I loved when you would text me before our date and get me all turned on, and you don't do that anymore. So you talk about the things that you used to love and you talk about the things you miss most. And then you have prepared for this conversation with this list of the things I don't think I can do any longer, but the things that I'd still like to do and can do. And when you really work on that list, the things that you can't do any longer, that's a pretty small list when you think about the total, experience of physical intimacy and lovemaking with your partner. And the things you can do can include a lot of new things you've maybe never tried. So you can get back that new relationship energy. And then you look at the things that you can't do and you say, is there any solution for these problems out there? Like Gaines wave? There are so many solutions for, well, it hurts to have sex. Okay, well, what part hurts? Is it nerve damage? Is it pelvic? Is it osteo? Is it tissue issues? Is it an incontinence issue? What is it that's actually going wrong? And then what can be done to fix it? So by the time you have that whole conversation, you're doing pretty well. You're starting to think, oh, I could get my intimate life back again.
Would you say the barriers to great sex for people in their 40s and 50s, the aging couple, is more physiological or more psychological?
For a couple that's generally happy, there are more physiological issues than psychological issues. The place where psychological issues start to happen is from trauma, past trauma, sexual abuse, shame, religious repression, stoic upbringing, lack of love, lack of having attachment, bonded parenting. Those things, what'll happen is partners will get married and then the sex is really good in the beginning. And so you get married, but then when the new relationship energy kind of wanes, the trauma comes back up. And then if you don't deal with that past trauma, you end up having often a sexless marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So if a partner gets married to someone who's had trauma and they know that, helping that partner work through it, either through like one-on-one sexual healing just with your partner, or through going to a sexologist or an ASECT certified sex therapist who deals with trauma reversal. And I truly believe that there is no trauma that you can't overcome. I think all trauma can be overcome with a good therapist. You can go on to live normal, healthy, positive, pleasurable sex life with a partner.
And I see all these books in your background. I think I see Steamy Sex Ed, Sexual Soulmate. You and your husband have created these yourself, correct?
Yeah, I just wrote my 34th
Wow.
sex technique ebook. It's called Thrust in Time. It's a lovemaking technique, an intercourse lovemaking technique that helps with stamina for him and her inability to achieve climax from intercourse, which are the number one and if you talk about intercourse between man and woman, his biggest issue is stamina and her biggest issue is inability to climax during penetration without additional clitoral stimulation. But if you think about the vaginal opening, it's actually surrounded with clitoral tissue. Women don't understand that there's clitoral tissue around the entire thing. And so they think, oh, I need to have clitoral stimulation to have an intercourse orgasm or a penetration orgasm. But in reality, they don't at all. The clitoris that they're thinking about is just one little piece of an entire erectile tissue structure that's made to have orgasm. So when we reframe a woman's thinking to, this isn't your clitoris, this is your clitoral structure, and we're going to get that whole thing stimulated, and we're going to show you how to have an orgasm. Because orgasm from penetration, like any orgasm, is a learned skill. It doesn't come naturally. It's something where you learn, your body learns how to do it. You train your body to have it. So many women think, oh, I can't have an orgasm from intercourse. And it's like, of course you can. You just haven't learned how. I didn't have one until I was 42. And I taught myself how to do it. And now I've taught thousands and thousands and thousands of women how to do it through literally my YouTube channel at betterlover.com has a whole series on how to have a penetration orgasm, and I give it away for free.
That's betterlover.com. Are most of your viewers or readers, are they men or women, 50-50, couples?
50-50, people across the gender spectrum, of all ages, all around the world, mostly American, Canadian, Northern European, Australia, New Zealand, so English-speaking countries, and mostly 40 years old and up. And a few more skewed more toward men than women, because I've done so many things to help men understand how to lead their woman toward her sexual potential, which is one of the things that I think is important, is that women can work on their sexual potential, but when they have a male-bodied partner, most of my customers are heterosexual, monogamous, midlife people. And when he understands that his role is to create the safety and pleasure for her to expand her sexual potential, and that she needs him to do that, he's more than happy to do it. He goes from being mad at her because she rejects him for sex to being the man that turned her into an incredible lover, which is a real gift that a man receives from his partner in his lifetime as well.
So a guy's job is to be there emotionally for his partner and make sure that he's available emotionally. One of the things you talked about penis pumps, vacuum devices, other toys that I know that you and I have had discussions before about sex toys and using sex toys in the marriage. I'm hoping you can expand upon that. And how do sex toys bring more life to the sexual relationship?
Well, it's funny because a lot of guys, they would think nothing of going out and getting the perfect tool at Home Depot or Sears or what have you. And you guys like the right tool for the job. But often men are a little intimidated about sex toys because they feel like, oh, well, I should be able to give her all the pleasure that she needs. But the thing is, there's so many neat things that sex toys do that help a guy give his woman pleasure that men more and more are realizing that sex toys are part of bedroom play. The other thing is that, especially in monogamous long-term relationships, women really need a lot of variety. They need a lot of variety of stimulation and a lot of variety of experience. They want their guy to take them on an erotic adventure in the bedroom. And toys really fit well into that, as do role playing, lingerie or costumes, new sex positions, sex in different locations. So any couple that has a commitment to continuing to keep their sex life on what I like to call the upward pleasure spiral. So sex keeps getting better together your whole life long instead of getting worse and worse. And that comes from learning new skills and techniques as well as trying new things in the bedroom. And sex toys is one of the most fun things you can do, but you really have to watch out because that vaginal tissue is very delicate. It's like a sponge. The vaginal mucosa is like a sponge, and any kind of toxic toys with phthalates and other plasticizers are very, very bad. Both the rectum and the vaginal canal are very, very sensitive, and you'll pull toxins into your body, which then are endocrine disruptors, and they hammer your hormones. So then you get low libido from these toxins. So I like a couple of brands. My favorite one for men's and women's toys is Fun Factory. They actually, they're German based. So they're like the Porsche of sex toys. And they use super premium, beautiful feeling, medical grade silicone in their toys. And then another brand I really like that has a lot of men's toys, high quality men's toys, which are great for men that can no longer have erectile function. The only option they have is maybe trimix injections or an actual penis implant, a pump implant with the two chambers that they can fill up that kind of give them an erection. For those men, there are a lot of toys that actually work from Hot Octopus, and that's with two S's, octopus with an SS at the end, that are penile stimulators that work really well whether you're erect or flaccid. And some of them, like the Pulse Duo, is one where the man can put his penis in and the woman can get on top, and she kind of rides the vibrator on top as the vibrator's vibrating his penis on the bottom. So I love sex toys. I like vibrators, thrusters, what other kinds of things are really good? All kinds of anal pleasuring toys. More and more couples are experimenting a little with anal pleasuring. So there's just a lot of really great sex toys out there right now.
So I read about robots, sex robots, and in 10 years, they say they're going to have sex robots that basically men won't be able to tell the difference between a real woman and a robot. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's funny because the Japanese are the leaders in sex toy robotics and natural skin and things like that. And when I was in Japan, you just went to Japan this year, didn't you?
I did.
Isn't it great there?
It was, but I saw no sex robots.
Well, I saw sex robots because Tim and I, my husband, Sir Tim, we went to sex toy stores, adult stores in all the major cities just to check it out and see what it was like, because they're kind of legendary. And they can be 8 stories high in Tokyo. And there would be an entire floor devoted to sex robots. And they were amazingly lifelike. It was just incredible. And if you think about people across a spectrum, you think about Homo sapien, there are a lot of men who they don't want to interact with other people. Women, men, they're introverted. They don't really want to have sex with other human beings, or they're not attractive enough to have relationships with other people. They can't get someone to date them, or they're just really into the fantasy of the experience of robotics. And so I think that there is definitely going to be a massive explosion of AI and robotics in the sexuality niche, and that is just going to grow exponentially because generally people are shy. There's a lot of social anxiety. There's a lot of, depression, and yet people still want experiences. And I think it's an amazing time that we live in that people can get those experiences from products like that.
So if a guy wants to learn more, they check you out. What's your website again, or your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is betterlover.com. That takes you right to my YouTube channel. I've got hundreds of free techniques videos on there. And then you could follow me on Instagram at Susan Bratton, SusanBratton. And then you can find me at Personal Life Media. And if you want that new ebook I just wrote, it's called Thrust in Time. It's at thrustintime.com.
Love that name.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, it's an ancient Taoist lovemaking technique that I brought into the 21st century. It's classic. It's like an ancient Chinese secret. It's classic body-based wisdom, but I made it for today's man and woman.
Okay, so if somebody is having any issues at all, what type of doctor should they be going to see if they have any physiological issues? I know there's Gainswave doctors out there.
Yeah.
If you're a woman, you go to an OBGYN, but are there certain types of doctors people should be looking for?
Well, for men, I'd always start with a urologist. If you've got any issues with your equipment, and if it's simply erectile dysfunction from the normal atrophy of aging, then I'd start with a Gainswave doctor at gainswave.com and find a provider in your area and book a consultation and go in and talk to them and see if you're a candidate. It's likely that you are because Gainswave is amazing. And for the procedures, as far as the Vive and FemiLift and things like that, you just have to go on to their website and find the providers in your area as well.
Awesome. I mean, this has been really, really interesting. Susan, you and Tim are great. I think what you're doing is amazing. I think the niche is amazing. Nobody talks about this, and the fact that you bring this to the forefront, I think you're helping thousands and thousands of people have better lives. Millions.
Millions of people. Everybody gets old. Everybody needs support. And it's just getting them to know it's out there.
But by the way, one of the most successful Gainswave providers are in the Villages, which is assisted living facilities. So it's people in their 70s and 80s that have great sex. So
they do. You just keep getting better as you get older. Your sex is a gift like family and good friends and your community that just keeps giving if you allow it and take good care of your body.
It's like wine. It gets better with age, huh?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Tim. And thank you so much.